Hello guys, Ajdtv here, bringing you some gameplay of One Last Memory, which is a little bit of a story game of the last memories of an old place. And it looked alright, the video, so anyway, let's give it a whirl. What's he got on his feet? So I was looking this way. Okay.
As I've grown older, I've noticed just how cold winters can be. Each year just seems so much chillier than the last. I've caught myself putting on a second pair of socks when I go out, or pulling up my collar in the wind. It wasn't always like this. Well, not so long as I can remember. Every day as a kid felt like a perfect day. In fact, wait, was that really what it was like as a kid? I'm almost sure that's right. Maybe?
feel very smooth, like the frame rate and stuff.
That's the thing. My memories have also started to fade a little, especially of late. Just in the past day, I think, I've started to write down my name, the names of people in my life. Holding on to my memories has been difficult. It's not just about keeping a record. I'm writing a book. It's the final entry in a great saga that was started by someone very close and dear to me. There are a few areas in my life that I can at least recall with some clarity. Not all of it, but some of it, at least.
I'm gonna go out. Hey. Ah, R1 sprint.
You know, the very first thing I can remember was one of the happiest times in my life. Just thinking about bits of it always makes me smile. When I was still a kid, a year or so before I started school, my parents took my brother and me on vacation. My grandparents passed away and my folks thought we just needed a break from life. They took us to a toy town somewhere out east. When I say toy, I mean miniature town, almost like a theme park. Everything was miniature. I've tried my hardest to remember where it was, but it's impossible. I remember we left home around lunchtime and the sun was behind us all the way. My father complained about how it shone so brightly in the rearview mirror of our old station wagon, and my mother kept telling him he should have brought his sunglasses with him. That's how they were. They argued so much, but they loved each other unconditionally, and that love spilled over to their kids. It was always so warm when I was with them. The little toy town was located deep in a forest surrounded by a calm river and boulders. I remember the river so clearly because Sam? Yes, my brother Sam. Well, Sam and I wanted to play in the river. We wanted to see if there were any fish. The prospect of catching one excited us, but who knows where we got the idea from. We were disappointed. There weren't any fish in the river, at least that we could see. Besides, our parents wanted us to enjoy the little toy town instead of covering ourselves in mud and smelling like fish. That whole area smelled so much more comforting than home. It was like freshly baked bread, fire, cookies, and popcorn. There was just something about this place that made me happy, that made me feel safe. Even as a kid, I knew it would be an important memory to me.
So nothing's for me in the face with this game, like saying like, wow. It was just a well, not risk. It's just like sometimes you can buy games that are cheap and be like, yeah, that was decent for the price. Nah, I'm not feeling it. Not feeling it with this. We'll find out. So you can't jump over that. Nope. Like a little Stonehenge.
We arrived as the sun was setting, which was all the more reason our parents wanted us to not play in the river after dark. I remember my dad carrying me on his shoulders through the town. My mom held my brother's hand. Sam was just 2 years older than I was and too large to be carried on anyone's shoulders. All of the houses in the town were smaller than regular ones. It was a toy town after all. Everything seemed so large to me. It helped that being on top of my father's shoulders made me feel like a giant. If a big scaly lizard or some ancient monster suddenly attacked, my dad and I would have been able to take it on. The streets were lit up with people selling all sorts of foods. Fires roared, and people kept cheering. I clapped my little hands all that night. That is until my parents had enough of it and gave me ice cream to keep me occupied. Some of it dripped down onto my father's head, but I'm still not sure that he ever noticed. I guess he was happy that he had a moment of peace. Sam also had one, but gobbled his down within minutes. I was content to keep licking the chocolate off my hands.
Okay, so I've got to find out where this key is. I think this key is the one I've just found, yeah? Liz?
We spent the next day exploring the little town and the banks of the river. I don't think I've ever laughed so much or ever gotten so dirty. My mother was so upset with me. She said, "George, Jeff, Grant, just look at these two." And my dad said, "It's okay, just let them be kids." He said to my mother, my mother's name was... I'm almost sure I heard a siren in the distance. There's part of the memory that's red and blue, but that can't be, right? I cried when my parents said we were leaving. I didn't want to go back home. I wanted to stay in this magical place. It was one of the happiest moments of my life, and I'll never forget it. Well, at least I've written some of it down, so I'll never forget it.
You see that line there? It's the Matrix. There's another line there. Ooh.
I was in the 10th grade when it happened. I'd just gotten home from school and saw both of my parents were sitting in the kitchen, crying their eyes out. Sam was upstairs in his room, fast asleep. He was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer. There was a chance that chemotherapy would help him to live longer, but there was also the chance it wouldn't. My parents bought him any toy he wanted, just anything to make sure he was happy. I wasn't jealous because I knew that Sam needed them more than I did. When it was time for Sam to go to his first session, I didn't know what to do. I didn't go home straight away after school that day. Instead, I just stayed at school and cried. After that, I pretty much mentally checked out of my family, staying away from them for longer and longer periods. It helped that I loved camping and exploring. So did Sam, but we didn't go camping together anymore. I didn't make any sports teams. Throwing a ball around or running with other people just wasn't all that exciting to me. Instead, venturing into the unknown and discovering new places is what I loved.
Just the way I came in. Look at that. This game's buggy.
To further distract me, I joined a local youth group. I didn't care what they believed in. I just wanted to get away from what was happening in my life. Thankfully, the group went on regular camping trips and hikes. A few of us would stuff our backpacks with some clothes, snacks, and sleeping bags, and then just go into the forest for a weekend. It was heaven to me. But there was this one time, this one particular outing that I just couldn't get over at all, and it stuck with me all this time.
Caution, bear in the area. Let's go this way.
I'd slept almost the entire car ride to the camping spot. I was exhausted after weeks of studying for exams and was looking forward to getting away from school, away from my brother, away from my parents, and just out into the woods. We arrived late, set up camp, cooked our supper, and had an early night. I didn't take note of my surroundings and just kind of passed out. I woke up before everyone else the next morning. There was a flash of red and blue and a siren. But that didn't seem right. No, that's not what happened. It was still dark out, but I decided to go on a hike while the others were still sleeping. I never said I was a smart kid. As I walked, I heard the sounds of a flowing river, so I headed towards it. It wasn't long before I could see a stone building in the distance. And there it was. Right in front of me was the toy town from my childhood vacation. I couldn't believe it. I never thought I'd see it again. But this time, it wasn't all cheery like the last time I was there.
Been that way. This just goes back on itself, I think. A maze or something. So this is the way. No. What is it?
Instead, there was no one around. It barely took me a few minutes to walk around the place and see all of it. Everything just seems so small now. It didn't make sense. When I was a kid, the place was huge to me. The streets went on forever, there were markets and so many people. It was huge.
Strange game. Hang on, that's where we were before. Couldn't get up. That it? Can't go any further? Oh my god. Tedious. Tedious. Go that way. Oh, can't wait to feel better again. Yeah.
Now it was nothing more than a roadside attraction, a forgotten place that people didn't visit anymore. Everything was covered in dust and just wasn't as vibrant anymore. Sam. Sam? Sam and I love that place, and I wish I could have brought him with me. It was late when I got home that Sunday night. Just before I reached the front door, it swung open and my parents rushed out, pulling on their coats.
just above my head now there. Watch it move. Goes back up again. How weird's that?
My mother grabbed my hand and pulled me towards the car. We were going to the hospital. They explained that Sam had taken a turn for the worse.